This is a CBS News special report. I'm Charlie Rose with Gail King, Jeff Glora, and Anthony Mason in New York. We are following the global impact of the historic vote in Britain to leave the European Union. In just a few moments, the opening bell will ring at the New York Stock Exchange.
Markets around the world plunged overnight in reaction to this stunning decision. Anthony, good morning. What do we expect to happen here?
No, that's going to be pretty ugly, Gail. I think it was ugly overnight in Europe. I mean, Britain opened down. The FTSE 100, the British index, was down 12% at one point. It came back off of that, but it's been bad, 7-8% across European markets. And I don't know if we'll touch that here, but there are just so many open questions this morning. Who's going to be leading Britain, the fifth largest economy in the world? What's going to happen to Europe? Will other nations there follow this lead to try to leave? And what's going to happen with Scotland, which actually wanted to stay in the European Union, but now will be seeking a referendum to try to leave the United Kingdom. It's just, there is so much on the table that is open at this point that I think you're going to see a market that's just really doesn't know where the world is going.
And uncertain is what the market hates.
Hates it. And you're seeing that here.
And the market's been looking at various times in the past year or more for some sort of a correction or even a bear market. I mean, we're still flirting today with record highs. So there's been that impetus maybe for something to happen. This might be it.
Well, I think the real concern here is, what shape is Europe going to be in 2 years? I mean, this begins a 2-year process of Britain leaving the European Union. And in that time, also, you've got elections in France and Germany, and already talk in France now that this will embolden them to seek a referendum. The National Front, the very nationalist party there, trying to do the same thing. So you've got a recipe for turmoil here around the world that is not going to make the markets anywhere happy.
It really is stunning because leading up to the vote, it was neck and neck, we kept hearing. But yesterday they were saying, yeah, but it looks like they're going to pull it out, that we'll be okay.
Well, if I was watching the returns last night at about 11 o'clock Eastern time here, which was 3 in the morning in Britain, and it was literally, there were 1,000 votes separating the two sides. It was 50.1 to 49.9%, and then things started to turn. But I think the reality is, as much as this was on the table, nobody really expected this was going to happen.
And the interesting thing, it is both economics and politics.
Yes, because the implications here, as we talked about on CBS this morning, the grievance list for the voters who voted to leave is the same virtually as you're hearing here for many people supporting Trump and some supporting Bernie Sanders. It's that economically they feel like they've been left behind, and secondarily that they're scared about immigration. Yeah. Those were the two powerful forces that the Leave campaign played into.
Yeah. And they feel like it's unfair that banks did well and they didn't.
Yes, and they have a legitimate grievance, and which is what Bernie Sanders said on the show this morning. And what voters again and again have been telling people around the world.
And they're even speaking some of the same languages, that we're taking our country back. I saw one British voter today who was cheering, we are taking our country back.
So we're looking at down about 2.5% right now, which is, which relative to what's happening in Europe seems kind of small, but I mean, that's almost 500 points. That's a big number.
But as you mentioned, Anthony, it's interesting is, not just some of the things you're hearing in the U.S., but also the other countries in Europe now, Netherlands, France, the anti-EU sentiment. Interesting to see how significant that cleavage is as we move forward here.
Well, you've got a real question now. In France and Netherlands, and also in Britain. This is going to embolden the UK Independence Party, which David Cameron called this referendum to try to marginalize the nationalist movement in the UK Independence Party. He made a big bet. He's lost it big. So now that party is going to be emboldened within Britain, which will embolden nationalist parties in France and beyond. So what does that mean for Europe? And every European government this morning has to be asking ourselves, could we, if this referendum happens here, could we lose it? Could we lose it?
They say it will be at least 2 years before we really see anything. Or were you surprised that he stepped down so quickly?
Well, he had to. He put this on the table, and he got clearly beaten.
Yeah, everybody said he could not survive.
He couldn't survive. I mean, I think that was inevitable, and I think if he'd stayed, it would have just caused even greater concern and chaos because most people knew he'd have to go.
And as Charlie rightly pointed out earlier, he may very well be replaced by another conservative.
Correct.
Boris Johnson, two guys who found themselves diametrically opposed on this issue.
His party was split.
His party was split, and that was part of the reason he put this on the table to begin with. But I mean, the real issue here now is we've seen we've seen a vote in a country that has many parallels to our own, in which these issues of immigration and the economy are on the table. And everybody thought it was going to go one way, and it didn't. It went another.
What amazes me is that all the reading that I had done and all the things that were written and said, people talked about a catastrophe, you know, a huge blow-up in the global economy. All those things would come to pass if this happened.
Well, we'll see what happens, because no one really knows. This hasn't happened before. But the interesting thing here, too, is, as you point out, the preponderance of experts and economists all said this is going to be catastrophic. And the voters ignored that.
Exactly.
They didn't care. Intellectually, they said, I don't care about that.
Right.
I'm just not happy here.
You may be right, but I'm still voting to
Yes.
And a lot of those people this morning who were predicting dire consequences are saying, listen, it's bad, but we'll survive.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think it's going to be messy. I think at times it's going to be scary. And I think there are going to be, you're going to look at a wave of this happening in Europe and other places and saying, well, could it happen here too?
All right, let's go to Chip Reed at the White House. Chip?
Well, the president went to the United Kingdom in April, and he argued quite strenuously for the United Kingdom to stay in the European Union. And the people who wanted to leave told him to butt out. It's none of your business. He has now put out a statement that says the people of the United Kingdom have spoken and we respect their decision. The special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom is enduring, and the United Kingdom's membership in NATO remains a vital cornerstone of U.S. foreign security and economic policy. So, too, is our relationship with the European Union. This came out 8 minutes before the markets opened, and I think clearly what this is an effort to try to calm the markets a bit. We'll see if it works at all. Charlie?
Also, this from German Chancellor Angela Merkel. She says the European Union is strong enough to find the right answers to Britain's vote to leave the bloc.
But they've got to look for answers now. I think what you're seeing, and you're hearing it, I mean, the Prime Minister of France called this an electroshock this morning. They all have to look at what happened in Britain and say, what does that mean for us? How do we approach this union? Does the union have to change? And that's going to be a process that takes a while, and there will be, I suspect there will be other referenda on the table in some of these countries, and they now know the risk is they could lose.
I've already heard the term Fuxit this morning. Do you see any upside?
Well, I mean, we haven't been here before.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Before, right.
We haven't been here before, and I think what you're seeing is a clear demonstration of a backlash against the situation in the globe at this point.
Take yourself into the boardroom of huge financial institutions.
Yes.
What are the questions they're asking, and what are their options?
Well, they're looking at what's happening here right now, and they're saying, what does this mean?
Right.
And I think until this plays itself out, and there was a lot of fear-mongering on both sides going into this, until this plays itself out, and I don't think it'll be as catastrophic as either side portrayed it, but there are going to be some real bumps in this road. And there's no question that the right-wing parties of Europe will be enormously emboldened by this. And that is going to create waves of turmoil across Europe for some time. If you're a business, you want to know what does that mean for me.
Donald Trump in Scotland identifying with the spirit of the voters.
And calling it fantastic. But J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs already this morning issued a letter to their clients to say, listen, we're on top of this.
And the Federal Reserve has said we're watching this very closely.
Was that important for them to do, Anthony?
They have to watch it, because I mean, you're going to see a lot of volatility in the next 2 years because there are going to be issues that come up here that we haven't even anticipated.
We should mention that the Dow's down 500 right now, which is significant. It does not appear to be in free fall.
No, it's funny that 500 looks actually pretty good at this point relative to what happened in Europe. Almost 3%. That's a lot.
But what would be catastrophic?
Well, I mean, 3% is pretty bad if you're trying to cash out today. So I don't want to be relative, but we saw. I mean, overnight we saw the pound in Britain as the votes were coming in the middle of the night. The pound fell 10%, to levels we haven't seen in 30 years. And there's going to be more pressure on it still. Great for me. I have a daughter in college in Scotland. My tuition got cheaper. But if you're living in England, your money's worth less.
And what Great Britain's got to do now is go negotiate all kinds of trade agreements, and all kinds of economic relationships.
And that's the
thing.
They
no longer do it as part of the European Union. They do it now.
And some of those deals take literally half a dozen years to
And President Obama got into a little trouble when he was in Great Britain by saying they're going to have to go to the end of the queue.
No, I A very prominent British historian said on television last night he feared a really dark period for Europe. And that's the worst case scenario. Yeah. But I think a lot of European leaders are worried about that.
At a time that Europe was already having lots of trouble
yes.
because of refugee crisis and other things.
Many questions remain.
As the Financial Times said today, the world's most complicated divorce.
Yes, and divorces are never
good.
This one is going to be particularly ugly.
Our coverage will continue throughout the day on our 24-hour streaming network, CBSN. There'll be a full wrap-up tonight on the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Many of you will turn now to CBS This Morning. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Charlie Rose with Gayle King, Jeff Glor, and Anthony Mason. CBS News, New York.
For news.